Ooh, welcome everybody to Wager Talk Today. I'm Lawrence Presman, and we've got a hell of a show. This is the best daily sports betting show on the planet. And well, tonight we've got one last NFL game of the week. Detroit playing San Francisco. Teddy Covers is going to join us. He's going to take that game apart. We're also going to delve into how to handicap Week 18. My immediate response is carefully. We also have Adam Trigger joining us. He's going to look at college football bowl games, Michigan and Alabama. That's tomorrow. Iowa State and Colorado, and Houston against Oklahoma State in college basketball. Jesse Schule with some prop bets for tonight's game. And we're going to end this show with Gianni The Greek. But before we get into any of that, Teddy Covers, welcome to Wager Talk Today. How are you, my brother?
Well, Lawrence, I'm doing all right. How about yourself today? Good to see you.
Yeah, well, thanks for asking. I'm doing great, man. I had an amazing weekend of winning bets for my clients, so that always makes me happy. And as you can see, I shaved. And what are you, growing a beard?
Yeah, it looks like it. A little post-holiday, yes, beard. Let's call it what it is.
So I went to get my passport picture done on Friday, and I realized I had a beard. So I ixnayed the passport picture, shaved the beard, and I'm going to get one today. I just didn't want to have that idiotic Santa Claus looking nonsense on my face for the next 10 years. So beard is gone. Okay, let's move on. Oh,
Okay.
look at Dan. Look at Dan Alexander. Dan Alexander. I said I got a funny story about shaving my beard off air, and Dan writes in Slack, I thought it was a funny story. Teddy, Detroit Lions. This is they're minus 3.5, 50. This is not really a must-win game. They can lose this one and still win the division with a win next week. How you handicapping this?
Fascinating game. And the markets don't know what to do because you're absolutely right. Detroit does not need this game. It's 100% meaningless. The Lions will get the number one seed, home field advantage throughout the playoffs, if they beat Minnesota next week. If they don't, they'll be a wild card team. And tonight's game against the 49ers, therefore, completely irrelevant to their long-term fortunes and their short-term fortunes. That's why this line has held where it is. 3.5 on the WagerTalk live odds screen. Total's been bet down a little bit. 50.5 is now down to 50. And when you read the quotes out of the Detroit locker room, because this is one of those games you got to read the tea leaves a little bit. You know, Dan Campbell is talking about how he's still haunted by the fact that the Detroit blew a 17-point halftime lead against the 49ers in the NFC Championship game last January. Again, Detroit 30 minutes away from a Super Bowl last year. All right. Who took care of business during that final 30 minutes? San Francisco. Here's a return trip, a place where they haven't won a game since 1975. Dan Campbell, quote, just like my second year in the league, we go to the Super Bowl and get smashed by Baltimore. I won't ever forget that. So those stick with you. Last year, we just didn't do enough. You learn from experience. Ultimately, it's the best way to learn from the losses. It really is. Penny Sewell, if he tells me to jump off a cliff, Dan Campbell, with him, I'm right next to him. I'm so serious. Whatever he says, whatever he calls, we just got to execute. That's on us. That's my guy. Campbell, quote, you don't want to go through that feeling again. And that means you have to prepare a certain way. You have to play a certain way. Everything you talk about per that opponent for that week, it's as simple as that. This is the next opponent in front of us, and just keep your cool, keep your composure, stay disciplined, do the little things it takes to win a game. It really is that simple. So the quotes from Detroit, you know, here's another one. I'm on Ross St. Brown. Going in there, we obviously all want to win. I don't know if it's going to get brought up or not, but I feel like each player that was here last year knows the feeling we had. We want to go in there and hopefully come out with a W. So, yes, it's a meaningless game for Detroit. 100%. That being said, it doesn't look like they're approaching this game like it's a meaningless game. And the fact that they lost here, that San Francisco stood between them and a Super Bowl a year ago, and they came up short, is, I think, a legitimate motivator. Now, what happens if the Lions take a lead and the second half gets weird? That's very possible in this ballgame. This much we know, all right? San Francisco's had chances to get back into the playoff race the last couple of weeks, and they've come up short. The effort has been a little bit dicey for a team. And look, when you talk about riddled with injuries, the 49ers have been a disaster for them this season from an injury standpoint. But we haven't seen that we're going to fight to the down to the last whistle in any recent loss for San Francisco. And when you look at the 49ers injury report when it comes to the offensive line, it's a disaster. They ruled out Aaron Banks. They ruled out Spencer Burford. Trent Williams is on IR. Jalen Moore, his backup's on IR. All those guys went on IR in the last week. All right. Right tackle Colton McKivitz, questionable. He could play, but they could also be playing Charlie Heck and Austin Pleasance, both of whom were signed from other teams' practice squads in the last 11 days. That could be their starting tackle duo tonight. All right. Kyle Shanahan, quote, having three guys up who were on other teams' practice squads last week, talking about the offensive line, the continuity is obviously not there, and just not them being in the building with the verbiage and things like that is a big challenge. There's still more time till the game, and those guys will be working mentally to get ready, but anytime you're new and you haven't been out there much, it's always a challenge. And that's just a tip of the iceberg when it comes to this San Francisco injury report. Dre Greenlaw's not going to play. Robert Beal's not going to play. Jared Brown's not going to play. And I can go on and on. Javarius Ward isn't going to be there. San Francisco, to me, is a team that I would not put my money on tonight. In fact, I put my money on Detroit for a first half wager in this ballgame. That is a client play for me. And I wouldn't argue with you making that same wager this evening. I'm not convinced the Lions are going to play for 60 minutes. I'm confident they're going to play for at least 30, and that's bad news for San Francisco.
Yeah, Teddy, I love that analysis. I mean, that handicap was spot on, and I like how nobody knew where the hell you were going at any time, and then you just dropped it at the end. Nice climax. Okay, so I don't think a Dan Campbell team is ever going to lay down and die. I don't think it's in his makeup. He's going to be one of those guys that they'll wrap up a division with 3 weeks to go, and Goff and the starters will play all the way through. He's just, I think he'll like shake. Oh my God, we're not trying our hardest to win. That's what I love about Dan Campbell. Teddy Covers joining us. How did your weekend go?
So we did very well with the 5% big tickets report this weekend. Cast a right side on Saturday in college hoops, cast a right side in the NFL, in the NBA, I should say, on Sunday. The Pacers winning outright as double-digit dogs. So the big plays cashed in. The NFL yesterday was pretty freaking frustrating. The only play I had was Atlanta, and that's all you need to know.
Yeah. Well, nothing like taking a dog into overtime and losing it then and there. I had the over in that game, so we both cheered that insane fourth down play, and then only one of us was left cheering. I had an incredible weekend. I begged everybody to buy my week package with that Holiday 25 special. And bam, it worked out really, really well for all of you guys who took advantage of that. We had a 3-2 Friday. We had an 8-3 Saturday, and we had a 5-3 Sunday. I went 9-1 in NFL for my clients, 9-1 this week, and also 7-0 in NHL. But I lost my 5%, Teddy. I lost my 5% on Miami, the damn Hurricanes, -3. Cam Ward, according to everything I'm hearing, he just decided he was not playing any longer. He pulled himself from the game, and that was the end of that.
Which he's allowed to do. I mean, Cam Ward's taking a lot of heat for that, but I don't know what the right answer is. I really don't. If he opts out, he's a jerk. If he plays a half, he's a jerk. Not fun if you had Miami minus the points in that one, especially the way it ended.
So, Teddy, to me, there's a clear right answer. If you want to opt out, go ahead and opt out. The team has a week, 2 weeks to prepare, fine. Not the greatest thing that a leader of a team would do, but fine. But to opt out in the middle of a game, he deserves to be the abuse he gets. And this is not me talking sour grapes because he cost me a 5% play. That is just wrong, dude. Like, wrong. Like, never has a general retired in the middle of a war. They retire before wars. They retire after wars. They don't retire in the middle of a damn battle. Anyway, it was wrong, flat out. We got week 18 in NFL, and this is a tricky week to handicap bets. I mean, honestly, initially it's like, do these games go over? Do these games go under? Or is it the dogs? Is it the favorites? Nothing changes, dude. It was 7-9 to the under last year. So, there's no real trend on ATS or totals that I was able to find. I just tell everybody, tread carefully. Go ahead.
And that's the right answer. No, there's no angle. There's nothing you're going to look at and say, oh, yeah, teams in these spots have done well. Week 18 is a crapshoot, all right? And what you do in week 18 is you make sure that you keep your card limited and you make sure that everything you're betting for a reason. All right, it's kind of like preseason, where you throw away the opinions you have about how good the teams actually are and just focus on the information. That being said, the betting market is doing the exact same thing. And preseason is different in the sense that there's 90-man rosters. So teams sitting everyone, guess what? No one on the field knows what they're doing. It's third stringers. It's practice squad guys. It's guys who are getting cut. Week 18 backups, they're not preseason third stringers. Note that difference. It's a huge difference, And many times in week 18, I take advantage of what I consider to be betting market overreactions. They bet it like a preseason game, like it's going to be all these guys that are not likely to see an NFL field again, when in fact, it's second stringers who are pretty good and playing hard. So I tend to look, to take advantage of the market overreactions for week 18. And there's one other factor that we have to talk about when it comes to must-win game. They must win, especially for seeding. No team gives a crap about seeding. Oh, we're going to be the 5 seed versus the 6 seed. That's not a motivator for any team really in any sport. All right, that's something that guys write. It's nothing that guys actually live. But when we talk about these must-win teams, your must-win in week 18 in the NFL, the M in must-win stands for mediocre. Those are not teams I like to lay a premium price with in their must-win situational games. Lawrence?
Teddy covers. Cincinnati is in one of those. That game goes Saturday. -3. Denver's in one of those. That line has been bet. That line opened at 14. Teddy, it's now 9.5. We got your opening line report coming at 1. You're going to be delving deep into all of that stuff. Tell us about that show.
Yeah, first of all, both those games are next Sunday. The entire NFL card next week is all on Sunday. There's no Monday night games. There's no Saturday games. That week 18 is all on Sunday. Secondly, that line didn't open 14. It opened 7/7.5/6.5 at Westgate/8.5 at Circa, and it's been bet up. So Denver's been bet up, not bet down. Cincinnati opened -1/-1.5/-2.5 is now -3 across the board. Cincinnati has been bet up. The must-win teams will take money. That's exactly what we were just talking about. Lawrence, what were you asking?
Okay, so Baltimore, the Baltimore game and the Pittsburgh game, from my information, have just been moved to Saturday. Is there anything else you'd like to vehemently correct me on? Good. Teddy covers everybody.
He's being moved to Saturday. What are you talking about?
That's okay. That's the information we just got. So fine. Okay. We have a few days to let it all come out. It doesn't matter. Nothing I appreciate more than when you correct me with just that negative energy. I miss it. Thank you.
I'm so sure
appreciative.
You do,
Happy New Year, you schmuck. Get out of here. Teddy covers everybody.
Should I promote before I go, Lawrence, or no?
Let's have a vote.
We got a 3-pack up for tonight, including the Monday Night Football play first half on the Lions that I just gave you guys. That being said, I have my best bet in the NBA, my best bet in college hoops, and we do an action for football, college football tomorrow. We have a 5% big ticket for Oregon, Ohio State on Wednesday. You can get it all right now Check out the page, wt.buzz/TC, and use that promo code HOLIDAY25 to take 25% off anything and everything in your cart. That offer does expire tomorrow at midnight, so take advantage today and get on board. Lawrence.
Teddy Covers, I love you, man. Now go and check the schedule in the NFL. Teddy Covers, everyone. Lots still to talk about. We got Adam Trigger about to join us. He's going to look at a couple of college basketball games and Michigan and Alabama. Jesse Schule with some Monday night props. We're going to end the show with Gianni The Greek. I do want to make mention, everybody, that the Holiday 25 promo is still up. It's still active. You guys have one more day to use it. This is one of the best promos that we offer. Holiday 25, you get 25% off of any package that you put in the shopping cart, period. Any yearly package, seasonal package, weekly, daily, monthly, it's all 25% off. You use the promo code HOLIDAY25. I begged you guys last week to use that promo code on me. I ended up having an outstanding freaking run, 16-8 since Friday. I believe that my hot streak has just begun. I think I'm going to run really hot for the next little while. So take advantage of Holiday 25 on me, please. I already know a few of my NFL plays will go up later today. And my hockey is absolutely rolling. So try me out for a week. I'm not asking, you don't have to go buy me for a month or a year. $99 for the week. You take 25% off Holiday 25. Try me out. Let's win together. Adam Trigger joining us. Adam, love having you on with us. Hope your weekend was wonderful. Thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, I love joining. The week was good. Yesterday was bad. So it's like, full transparency. I had a terrible day yesterday, but I had a 6-4 in 1 week. So like, do what you will with that, right? Like it was a good week until yesterday, when nothing went my way. Prez, I have a good one for you. I had a basketball game that the scoreboard was wrong, and I had plus 9.5. So I thought I covered, and at the end they just came in. They were like, no, it was actually a 10-point loss. So it lost. So that's kind of sums up yesterday for me.
Oi. Okay, let's move on, brother. We got two college hoops games we're going to discuss, but first let's focus our attention on Michigan and Alabama. Listen, ultimately, I think one of these teams is disappointed, and that team doesn't rhyme with Michigan. And then the other team's just happy to be in a bowl game, and that team rhymes with Michigan. Do you take that into account in this handicap, and how should we bet this game?
Yeah, so I got to disagree with something from the last segment, that these are, like, the Pop-Tarts Bowl is not a war. This bowl, not a war. These are exhibition football games, and I really think you have to treat them very similar to preseason football. I've actually had success doing that. I'm 4-1 in the bowls so far this year, 3-1 in the bowls, 1-0 in the college football playoff. Those playoff games, you handicap straight up. Those are just, the way you would handicap any big college football game. But the bowls for me have become, trying to see if I want to get involved in an exhibition game. And I'll just kind of like walk through what I look at when I'm looking at these games. So like I make this number Michigan plus 9 if this were a regular season game on a neutral field. It's on a neutral field. It's obviously not a regular season game. We know Michigan has opt-outs, specifically the ones that really hurt them on the defensive side of the ball, pretty much without their entire front four here defensively. And so now it's up to 13.5. And I don't really disagree with the move. But what's interesting here to me, Prez, is the total hasn't moved at all. So you've got to move here all the way up. This was down as low as 9.5 at one point. It's now up to 14 some places. Yet the total still sits there at 43.5. And if you agree with the market and think that like Bama's just going to come in and destroy Michigan, Michigan's got guys opting out, they don't care, I think you kind of have to like the over because I think it suggests that there's going to be more points. So Bama's going to probably score more than they would, right? Like the way this game would play out if it was like all things were normal would be like sort of a defensive, Michigan trying to control the time of possession, control the field, run the ball. That's how I think it would play out. Here, I think Alabama could have explosive play after explosive play. And I think your Michigan offense that hasn't been great at times this year is, I mean, they've had a month to prepare. So they're probably going to find a play or two somewhere here. So the way I kind of look at this is not going to be one that makes my card. I just don't have a strong enough opinion, but I do think the best way to bet this game is the over. It hasn't moved, and I think Bama could get close to this on their own. So I'll say over 43.5 for Michigan Bama here.
Yeah, I like that pick, Adam. That makes a lot of sense. Now, listen, this is with no disrespect to you, but we do have some breaking news. I have to cut you off for a second. Hugely important breaking news, everybody.
Well, I got it. Lawrence, nice to see you. It looks like you were right about the 2 Saturday games, the Steelers and the Ravens both playing on Saturday. I was, that being said, still haven't seen a change on the WagerTalk live odds screen, but multiple outlets reporting that is a Saturday doubleheader. So you were right, Lawrence. There you go. That's all you
Happy
want.
New Year, Teddy. Adam Trigger. Sorry to interrupt you there, Adam Trigger, but yeah, it was breaking news. Okay, brother. So we got Iowa State playing Colorado and Houston against Oklahoma State. Why don't you do both those games at once? Well, one after another. But if you can do both of them at once, I mean, I'm willing to give it a listen.
I'll do one after the other. They're both Big 12 conference games, so important to point out that we've got conference play starting tonight. And I'll start with Iowa State, Colorado. This is a rematch of a game that was played in Maui earlier this year. So probably before they realized that Colorado was, or that these two teams were going to be in the same conference. But game was played in Maui. Iowa State ran them out of the gym. And, this number is kind of close to where I make it, Prez. I make it Iowa State minus 12. So a little bit of line value on the Iowa State side. But my handicap fully suggests that Iowa State is the right side, and we might see something similar to what we did in Maui. So, Iowa State offensively, this team is awesome. We've known that Iowa State is a great defensive team for years now, but the offense has really come along. They're now, in my opinion, a top 5 offense and a top 5 defense nationally. And I don't think they get enough credit, Prez, for how good they are and how efficient they are on the offensive end. In the first meeting, they shot 60% from the field. And the big thing that I took away from that first meeting is they turned Colorado over 17 times. Turnovers have been a big issue for them. Their press was really good. I don't see how Colorado, even if they make some adjustments, I think they still struggle with that. Going back to Iowa State's offensive efficiency, they're scoring 88.5 points per game on average this year. 51.3% from the field is fifth nationally. They don't turn the ball over. And their only loss was to Auburn in a game they had a 16-point lead and really kind of just blew the game. They should have won, and they should probably be unbeaten. KenPom has their defensive rating at 14th. I disagree with that. Like I said, I have it top 10. So I don't think they're getting enough credit for their defense. And even if you were going to not give them enough credit for their defense, you have to here because Colorado turns the ball over a ton, and Iowa State can press them and force them in the turnovers like they did in the first meeting. I think Colorado still lives off the UConn win here, Prez. This team has stepped up in class 3 times this year. It was all in Maui. They got blasted by Michigan State. They got blasted by Iowa State. They upset UConn. And as we know, looking back, I don't think UConn really cared much about those games. I don't think what they've done in the non-conference outside of that is very impressive. Colorado State down this year, struggled with Pacific, struggled with Northern Colorado. I think they're just outclassed here, and I like Iowa State to run. I think they win by double digits.
There we go. Adam Trigger. Iowa State to win by double digits. We're good. Houston against Oklahoma State. Where are you going here? Is this going to be a double-digit win? I
don't know if it's going to be a double-digit win. It's certainly Houston can certainly win this game by double digits, but I think the line is a little bit shaded for them to do so on the road here at Gallagher-Iba Arena. So I'm going to look at the total. I think this total is a little bit light. I don't think they just wipe Oklahoma State out here. I know that's how a lot of people are going to look at this game. And Houston is very good defensively, but one big key, I'll be interested if Jawan Roberts plays in this game. He's Houston's one of their key bigs. He left the Toledo game with an injury. He did not play against Corpus Christi. So his status is important on both ends of the floor. If he's not in there, I definitely like the over. So it's going to make scoring at the rim a little bit easier if he's not on the floor. And Oklahoma State has some guys that can put the ball in the basket. They're not inept offensively. They average 79 points per game. Bryce Thompson's someone that can get a bucket on his own. They play fast comparative to the rest of the Big 12. Like Evan Maya's got their tempo rank 66th. And something that Houston has done more so this year, when teams play fast, Houston is willing to play fast. And if Roberts wasn't on the floor for Houston, I think you get a more guard-oriented game here from Houston, which speeds this game up and probably gets it over. Houston might try to play slow, but their offense is still very efficient. Fifth nationally in three-point shooting. They get to the line. I got them as a top 20 offense. So if this game gets a little bit spread up here, Prez, I don't think Oklahoma State just gets trashed on their home floor. And for that reason, I think this total is low. So I like the over 137.
Adam, I love you being on the show, man. Thanks for doing this. What do you got to promote?
Yeah, so I'm 4-1 so far in the bowl season, 3-1 on the bowls, 1-0 in the college football playoff. I have a 5%, my only 5% play of bowl season in this round of the college football playoff. So that's coming up the next 2 days. That was the highlight of the week for me last week, for sure, was the college bowls. When I think I've now hit 4 in a row after losing my first one on Cal. So we're hot there. 5% play in one of the college football playoff games, and that's up now on the site, wt.buzz/AT. Also, Prez, I'm going to give out one of my client basketball plays for today on the college basketball show at 2 p.m. right here on WagerTalk TV, which everyone should be watching anyway.
There we go. Adam Trigger, thanks for doing this. Happy New Year to you, brother. Guys, a real quick shout out to John and Yassi. Both of you guys just took advantage of that Holiday 25 special on me. Both of you grabbed $99 package. Thank you for that. Means a lot. For me tonight, I got one NFL. I'm on a 9-1 run. One NHL. I'm on a 7-0 run. And I have 2 college and 1 NBA pack up for my clients. Jesse Schule joining us. And Jesse, man, you are a great Twitter follower. It's just colorful, beautiful family you have as well, Jesse. I don't know if you're into sharing
information about the family. I don't mind saying my daughter is like a beauty queen. I like to tell her she's Miss Chiang Mai.
So cute.
She's only 6, but she really likes getting dressed up. You know, my son is 20 years old. He's, I have a great family. You're right about that. We enjoy our food and our barbecues and our social life. Unfortunately, we haven't enjoyed the football as much as we normally do the past few weeks, Prez. But thank you for reminding me how blessed I am in all aspects of life. A couple bad weeks of gambling does not reflect on my overall abilities as a handicapper over the years, over the decades, let's say.
To say the least, dude. I mean, firstly, there's a reason you're on WagerTalk. And secondly, well, there's a reason you're on WagerTalk. Let's get into some Monday Night Football prop bets.
Let's do it. I think this is a perfect game for prop betting. As Teddy alluded to, both teams have problems on the defensive side of the ball, but we got the Detroit Lions, the number 1 scoring offense in the NFL, 33 points per game, and expect the Lions to come in here and march up and down the field, put points on the board. Problem is 12 defensive players on the IR, 5 defensive line starters. Teddy mentioned the injuries for the offensive line for San Francisco. Well, if there's one team you want to go up against right now with injuries on the offensive line, this would probably be the team you would pick. They gave up 48 points in a loss to the Bills 2 weeks ago, 559 yards of offense. Then they only gave up 17 points against the Bears last week, but Caleb Williams threw for 334 yards and a pair of touchdowns. The Bears would have scored more. They fumbled the ball twice, and they just did Chicago Bear things. You can always count on the Bears to be doing such things. I like Brock Purdy to have a good game here, put up some numbers. He's gone over 300 yards in 2 of his last 3 starts, 313 yards and 2 touchdowns against Miami, and 325 yards and 2 touchdowns the 2 weeks prior against the Bears. Teddy mentioned we haven't seen a lot of fight from this San Francisco team. They did sort of inexplicably beat up on the Bears a few weeks back. I think this is a good spot, not for the 49ers to win, but to put up points and put up yards and move the ball against a banged up Detroit Lions defense. So Purdy over 253.5 passing yards is my first prop for today's show.
Jesse Schule joining us, everyone. Jesse, you got another prop bet for us. Let's get straight into that.
All right. Well, the total for tonight's game, 50.5. Not the highest total we'll see in an NFL game, but still on the right side of 50. I was on Last Call with Kelly a couple weeks ago, and I reminded Kelly that back in 2017, the Packers played the Falcons in the NFC Championship game. The closing total for that game, 61.5. And I told Kelly that I wrote an article prior to that game detailing my prop strategy when you see these high totals, stacking player props, guys to go over their yards, guys to go score touchdowns, because often the books just roll out with the same price as they would have for a total of 45 or 48. They don't seem to make the necessary adjustments all the time when you do see a high total. And I'm looking at 49ers players in this game, and I believe this is the highest total we've seen yet this season in a game involving the San Francisco 49ers. I did mention to Kelly when the Lions were playing the Bills and the total was 55, I liked Cook, the RB1 for Buffalo, to score a touchdown. He ended up scoring a pair of touchdowns. Josh Jacobs scored 3 rushing touchdowns against the Lions the previous week. Now, Chicago wasn't running in any touchdowns last week. Again, you can always count on the Bears to do Bears-type things. They don't have much of a running game. But Isaac Guerendo is back for the San Francisco 49ers tonight. He's got 3 touchdowns in his last 3 starts. He's averaging 5.2 yards per carry on the season against a banged-up Detroit defense in what is projected to be a high-scoring game. He's priced at minus 120 for an anytime touchdown. I think that's a cheap price for an RB1 in a game such as this. So I think there's value with Isaac Guerendo anytime touchdown.
Jesse Schule joining us. Jesse, what do you got to promote for the clients?
Got a 3-pack of plays for tonight's NFL game. I got a couple props in there, and I have a college basketball play. I've been struggling with the NFL this season. I got to admit it. It's a year where the bookmakers are getting bashed and the betting public is doing better than projected. But my college basketball remains red hot, hitting 70% dating back to last year's NCAA tournament. I do have a college basketball play available in that 3-pack. It'll only cost you $29, and if you use that promo code, you get 25% off, Holiday 25.
There we go. Jesse Schule, everybody. Thanks for joining us, guys. Before we bring Gianni in, I just want to give out a free bet as well, one I am making, and that is the Seattle Kraken tonight. They're playing Utah, and they are plus 130 on the money line. Now, this is a very strange line to me. Now, this is a dog at home, and plus 130 is not a small dog. I mean, that's a medium-sized dog at home. And this is a Seattle team that lost 5 games in a row. Then they finally beat Vancouver on Saturday night 5-4. But not only did they beat Vancouver, they were down 4-1 in that game and made an unbelievable comeback. Now I think they got to be coming home feeling slightly better about themselves. We saw Buffalo go on a massive losing streak. Then they won a game, and we actually released them as a 4% play on their second game after that win. I feel like Seattle's in a very similar type spot, a team that had high hopes of making the playoffs coming into the regular season, and a team that really has shut the bed so far, 16, 19, and 2 on the year. But I think this is a better team than their record. And I think we've got them at a very, very low market spot. Plus 130 as a home dog. And they're against Utah. Utah is not some lights out hockey team. 16, 13, and 6 on the season. This is a team that's lost 3 games in a row and have only scored 3 goals in the last 2. So here we have a wounded Utah team on a decline against a Seattle team that I think is about to have an ascent. I think there's a lot of value on Seattle plus 130. Gianni The Greek joining us, everyone. Gianni, how was your weekend?
Great. God bless America, brother. And real quickly, I don't want to forget this. I got 2 amazing trades that just set up for today. First, if you want to short, this is a short day trade at Boeing. The price right now is about 177, 178. At 180, you short it. A ton of resistance going way back. So if you want to do a quick day trade, pick up a couple of percentage, you want to short Boeing at 180. And a long trade, something that's setting up really nice, Devon Energy. Call sign DVN, Devon Energy. I just got in at $31. It's up to about 32 right now. I was trying to get I have a big buy at 29.80. If it breaks below 30, I have a huge buy. So I'm hoping it comes back down. But if it doesn't, I did get some in at 31. But Devon Energy, we're about to see some of these energy stocks head up. And you see all the talk with 2025 and how with the debt. And a lot's coming down the pike. So if you got a little spare money that you want to take a shot, take a look at Devon Energy for a nice swing trade. Hold it for a couple weeks, maybe a couple months at the longest. And finally, quick day trade. Make a couple percentage on shorting Boeing. Otherwise, Prez, I'm here for you, brother. I got a lot. I bet already college basketball. I released 4%. Number 1 in college basketball last 30 days. We're heating up as expected. And also got some bowl action, football game tonight. So a lot to get to, brother. The floor is yours. How you want to cover it?
Well, Gianni, first off, are we allowed to be giving stock tips out on air?
No, I'm not. I consult your financial advisor. I'm not by no chance. I'm talking gut gambling. This is gambling. I'm rolling the dice.
There we go.
We're rolling the dice.
Good.
By absolutely urging nobody to take this as financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm the furthest thing from one.
Gianni, we got a college football bowl game today. Nobody has discussed it. It is in Nashville, Tennessee. It's at the Nissan Stadium. It's the Music City Bowl. Iowa against Missouri, an extremely low total. I'm guessing this will be a snooze fest. Are you seeing or hearing anything on this game?
Yeah, I'll tell you what I got. I took the 3. I got a little 3.5, but mostly 3 on the Iowa side. As soon as I found out the curfew difference between the 2 teams, it seems like one team wants to be there and they're disciplined. The other team's there to have a party. Iowa had to be in their rooms by 10:30 at night. They weren't allowed down on the main strip, which is where all the bars are. That street was out of bounds for them. Missouri, their curfew was about 2 a.m. They were allowed to party on that street. So for me, once I heard that curfew information, I had to take that 3. Fortunately, the market reflects that information and it's down to 2. So I think I got a good bet, win or lose. I did my job. Now, hopefully, Iowa goes out there and does theirs.
What are we doing in the NFL game tonight?
It's tough, man. It's tough because I know there's some sharp money on Detroit. John Murray actually confirmed that for us, I believe, on last call yesterday. That worries me a little bit because I was hoping this would be a spot to back San Francisco. I talked about it on your show earlier last week that this is their Super Bowl. You have nothing else to play for. You come into the season expecting to represent the NFC for the Super Bowl. You were still in it even as a 500 team. In fact, I bet them at plus 500 when they were 5, like a 2-2 team. So it tells you on paper how good they were. But injuries got to them like they do to a lot of good teams in the NFL, and they kept losing football games. So they're playing for absolutely nothing except pride. And if you're ever going to show up and have some pride, it would probably be a primetime game. It would probably be at home in front of your fans, and it would probably be against one of the best teams in the NFL or a rival. I think we have all 3 of those for the perfect storm on why San Francisco is a good bet. The only thing that worries me is the sharp money that did bet Detroit, but I don't blame them. They probably laid 3. That's no longer there. And the fact if San Francisco falls behind, how much energy are they going to exert to try to play catch up? That's the only thing that worries me. Otherwise, again, I think we have a good bet on San Francisco. Anything better than 3. I don't think home field advantage has been factored in. This team has showed us they play much better at home than they do on the road. In fact, they won 100% more games, 2x more games at home than they do on the road. That's the kind of home field advantage I like to look at. So again, I like San Francisco. What worries me is that sharp money on Detroit.
Right.
I don't like to fade guys that are in that 0.5% that actually win long term. They don't win all the time. In fact, they lose 45% of their bets, but it's that 55% I don't want to be opposite of more times than not.
Gianni, we're going to get to hoops for tonight, but before we get into that, it is Monday, and I'm curious about what happens on a Monday in regards to next, like Sunday's NFL card. We have 2 games on Saturday, but let's just call it, the weekend's NFL card. Are you already making bets? Are you already seeing things? Do you already have a feeling of a game where, we want Cincinnati now, we got to take Cincinnati now? Help us navigate the week in NFL.
You saw a couple, New England. That happened with New England against Buffalo yesterday. New England comes out at 5.5. Buffalo comes out 5.5, gets steamed all the way down through that key number of 2.5. You're going to see that in this final week or so, as we saw last week, where they're trying to get out ahead of a lot of these biases, a lot of these teams that are playing for nothing, a lot of these teams that are in must-win situations. I don't try to do that, Prez, because I think it's just really difficult. I feel like I'm guessing most of the time. So I wait and I get down for the guys that I work with. So far, I can tell you, we haven't bet anything.
Right.
Unfortunately, I'm up in the food chain enough now where I'm placing most of the bigger bets, the positions that they want. Like 3, 4, 5 years ago, I would have been betting these. I'm sure of it, because a lot of these that are getting down early, they're actually going to come back in middle later in the week. They're actually going to come back and possibly take the other side for more money later in the week. But I didn't know that 8, 10 years ago when I was betting this stuff for these guys. So I was getting the side A and not knowing that there's a side B to this bet later on. So a lot of times, you end up losing and you'll end up on the wrong side. So now that I do a lot of my own stuff too, I don't try to guess, Prez. I rather get confirmation and know for sure this guy's injured or this is the weather, and then wait for the overreaction. Wait for the bettors to overreact to some of that information, because I've concluded now, as connected as I am, I'm still not getting the information first. I know that for fact. So if I'm not getting the information first, I'm not going to beat the market more times than not. So I rather wait for the information to get confirmed and then wait for the bettors to do what they usually do. And that's overreact to information. They overreact to weather. They overreact to injuries. They think players are worth more than they are. That's where we can take advantage if you're unable to, to get out ahead of those numbers that you see moving in the NFL this week.
Yeah, that makes total sense. Okay, brother. Guys, real quick, hit that like button if you don't mind.
Please.
I forgot to ask. I shouldn't have to, but over 300 of you guys in the chat room right now. Only 61 likes. So, yeah, please take a moment out of your day and hit that like button. Gianni, NHL, NBA, college hoops, what do you got for tonight?
I got college hoops for you already. Let me tell you, in the NBA, I usually have an NBA that jumps out. What jumped out? Anything quickly? No. The only thing that a little bit, possibly the Sixers. Look at the Sixers. That's the only one, the 6 at -6 on the Sixers. I haven't bet it, but that's what jumps out. College basketball, here is what we did bet. I got down for these groups. As I said, I only released 2 as premiums. Hopefully you guys have some leans yourself. Regular board, game 862 under 154, Monmouth Auburn. Game 869, Oakland plus 18.5 and 18. Game 867, Houston -11, 11.5 and 12. And game 879, over 143.5, 144. Pacific San Diego, extra board. 306, 593, Southern plus 22.5, plus 23, 22.5, and 22. In fact, multiple groups did bet that Southern side. And then 306, 581, Southeast Louisiana plus 16. And finally, 306, 590, under 158, Bryant and Grand Canyon. That's what I've confirmed already, that I've moved for these guys. If you lean that way, Hopefully you can still get a good number. If you disagree, you're going to get an even better number. That's what's going on so far, Prez. Nothing in the NHL yet. But yeah, busy couple days ahead, brother. Busy couple days with New Year's Eve too.
Love it, Gianni The Greek. And guys, we do have a show every day this week, including New Year's Day. Gianni, you'll be with us all
Yes, sir.
the way through. Thank you, my brother. We'll see you on Wager Talk Today tomorrow. Shout out to Teddy Covers, Adam Trigger, Jesse Schule, and Gianni The Greek for being on the show with me today. It was a great show. Dan did an excellent job producing in the background. Tomorrow's show will have Ralph Michaels, Hakeem Prophet, Andy Lang, and Gianni The Greek with us. Again, I've heated up big time, so take advantage of that. Use the promo code HOLIDAY25. Grab a week of my plays for only $25. Lots of love, everybody. Let's kick ass today, and we'll see you on Wager Talk Today tomorrow at noon.